Okay, so it's January, and that means it's time for my annual Q&A here on the channel. This time I took questions from Instagram. You can follow me there as Stephen M. Hackett, and let's get into this. Chris asked what I want to see from Apple in 2020. This is really twofold for me. One, I want to see the new Magic Keyboard show up on the smaller MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air. You got to complete that story of the new keyboard. But I want to see a real commitment to quality software. iOS 13 was buggy. macOS Catalina leaves a lot to be desired with things like Catalyst. It just feels like Apple software is just sloppier than it used to be. And I think they need to really get that under control for iOS 14 and whatever the next version of macOS is. Several people asked why I use paper notebooks. I did a video on that, which you can see here. But I really do it because I don't want to just take notes in my phone or on an iPad. When I take notes like on a phone call or in a meeting, I feel like technology can be distracting, it can get in the way. And with the paper and pen, it's just free form, so I can make lists and doodles and all sorts of things. So I take all sorts of notes, and then I scan the notebooks, save them as PDFs, and then I keep them all on display here in the studio because I'm a pack rat. C. Suggs asks, what is the most rewarding thing I've been able to do over the last 5 years? So last year, Relay FM, my company, turned 5 years old. And by far the highlight for me was our podcast-a-thon in September, where our audience raised $315,000 for the kids of St. Jude. We did a big 6-hour live stream. My partner, Mike Hurley, came into Memphis. We did that from St. Jude's campus. And it was just a really special time. It's something that I will cherish forever. And we're going to do more of that in 2020, so stay tuned. Another question about work. No Grass Willow asked if I do any freelance work outside of Relay FM or 512 Pixels. And the answer is yes. I do have a small number of local clients that sort of fall into two categories, sort of home users or small businesses using Mac. So I'll do hardware and software support, server support, that sort of thing, some networking. And then I have some other clients that I have built like Squarespace websites for or help with branding. I have an IT background and as well as a marketing background. And so I keep my toes in that water a little bit. It's not very much work. In fact, very often I'll go several weeks or even a month or more without hearing from any clients. It's a very small part of my business, but it's one that I enjoy because it gets me out of the office. It kind of keeps me in tune with how people are actually using technology out in the real world. There was a related question from Uber for Dogs about a career that maybe I've always wanted to explore and need to get a chance to. And, that's sort of a weird question because I'm really not one, I don't like playing the what if game because it just is a good way to kind of lose your mind after a little while. But I will say that, I do have a journalism degree. I never really worked in a newsroom. I did my high school and college newspaper, but I never did it professionally. And I always kind of wondered what that would be like. But I think there's an alternative world where I would have gone into law or maybe medicine. So I like systematic ways of thought. I think that's why I like IT so much because it's you can take understanding of one thing and apply it to something else. And I think I could have done well, particularly in law, but that's not how the cards fell. And I'm perfectly happy with my career. I'm so lucky and blessed to do what I get to do. So I don't really think about that very much. A question from Vance, wanting to know what my least favorite part of podcasting is. And I thought a lot about this because I do enjoy podcasting, but it is how I pay my bills. I don't love editing. I edit in Logic. Right now I edit Ungeniused, Liftoff, and Connected. In addition to some Relay FM membership stuff. And it's not that I'm bad at it. I'm actually a pretty decent editor, I think, but it's very time consuming and very tedious. And for me, it's just a means to an end. And a show like Connected, if you've listened to it, I'll edit in jokes and sound effects sometimes, and that's fun. But I would rather spend time actually creating content and not polishing it to get it out the door in an edit. So I've given up some editing to freelancers over the years, and I may continue to do that. It's not to say that I hate editing, but if I had to pick a least favorite thing, that's what would come to mind for me. Joy asked, did you go to college or did you pick up any tech skills on the job? Like I just said, I went to the University of Memphis. I have a journalism degree. I also spent 2 years in art school, but that didn't pan out. So I actually switched to journalism 2 years into college. So it took me a long time to graduate. And I picked up the IT stuff during that time frame. So I was the news editor at the Daily Helmsman, my college newspaper, and that meant that I was in charge of layout and design. So I learned graphic design, and it was all on Macs. And the school IT people, there weren't a lot of Macs at the university, and so I kind of got to sort of be king of that little Mac kingdom in the journalism building and sort of support them myself. So I learned things there, and then was a Mac genius and worked as a consultant for a long time, and now do this. So I definitely have a lot of IT in my background, but it's more from on-the-job training and learning on my own than necessarily like going to school for that. And now I feel like I've sort of merged those two things where I can use what I learned in college and journalism school, but I can also rely on my decade-long IT career as well. And I'm really lucky to get to use both sides of that. I know that's not true for everybody. I have a lot of friends who went to college and now their career has nothing to do with it. I think college can be valuable, but I don't think it's necessary for everybody. And I think that if you don't know what you want to do, there's no harm in spending some time trying to figure that out before like getting married to a big expensive college degree. But that's just my 2 cents. So thanks for joining me for this year's Q&A. It's fun to take a break and answer some of your questions. Be sure to get subscribed if you're not. We've got a bunch of stuff planned for this year, including pretty soon a tour of my new setup with the 2019 Mac Pro. I'm really excited about this computer, and I can't wait to show you what I'm doing with it and how I have it set up. So keep an eye out for that, and until next time, adios.